Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, combined game playthrough number 3. Last turn saw 4 major powers gear up, and really bad weather basically shut down the maps. Couldn't really do much of anything. So let's get right into the March-April turn. So the starting money for the major powers looks something like this. We have Germany at 1, Japan at 1, Italy at -4, the Soviets at -1, the Commonwealth at 0, France at 0, the United States at 1, and China at 1. I've taken a look at what the major powers might be interested in doing this turn, and I came up with 3 major powers bidding. Let's take a look at that. We have Germany. Germany decided to go out on a limb this turn. They bid 2, but they're going to take 2 options. The U.S. Is also bidding 1, and the reason why the U.S. is doing that is that they actually qualify to gear up this turn. They'll have to pay double, but because all the other Democrats are ahead of them on the production multiple, it gives them the opportunity to do it, and I ran the numbers, and it actually comes out positive. So we're going to try it. So the U.S. is going to try gear up. They bid 2. Japan wants to get something done. They also bid 1. So let's go take a look at the initiative position track. See how this pans out. Let's see if I can get both of those in. There we go. Okay, we got Germany. Germany bid 2. They're getting a +4. That's 6. However, they're taking 2 options, so it's divided in half. That gives it a 3. The U.S. bid 2. They get +1 for their 7th place position. That's going to be a total of 3. So Germany and the U.S. are tied. The tie is broken through political effectiveness. Germany's political effectiveness is 5. The U.S. is an effective political effectiveness of 1. Due to the effects of the London Naval Treaty. So Germany will break that tie. They'll be in first. The U.S. will come in second. And the Japanese, the last bidder, will be third. Now for the last card on Germany, last card on Japan. Now for the non-bidding major powers, we have France and the Commonwealth tied at 3. Come over here and look. We see both the Commonwealth and France are 3 for political effectiveness, so the tie will be broken by current order. Then we have the Soviets and the Italians tied at 2. We come over here, we take a look at this. The Italians are 3. If I can get the counter. And the Soviets are a 4, but because of the London Naval Treaty, it's effectively a 3, so that's a tie. So the current order will break the tie. So the Soviets will be 6, and the Italians will be 7th, and China will be where they are most of the game, 8th. Okay, so let's go and take a look and see what the Germans want to do, maybe times 2. Let's go over here. Okay, for the March-April turn, Germany is going to pick option 7, the Austrian Anschluss. Excuse me. Okay, the prerequisite is Germany can only play this option if Italy has not played her option 7, true. Germany's production multiple is 3/4 or higher. She geared up last time, so yes. Germany's initiative position is less than every major power allied to Austria. I don't think anybody's actually... I think only the Italians are allied to Austria, and Germany isn't one. Austria is not in a civil war, and it is not aligned by any major power. So Germany fills the prerequisites. Okay, that's going to cost Germany 4 money for this. Now the effects is after playing this option, Austria becomes part of the German home country. Austria no longer has an independent partisan value. Germany receives 1 infantry and 1 mountain unit, if available, to arrive as German reinforcements next turn. Okay, so the U.S. entry for this is going to be a kind of muted 3. There are a bunch, Austria kaput. there are a bunch of minor effects. I'm going to go put them out. And when I come back, we'll have Germany activate a minor. She will roll to end the political phase. And if she doesn't, then she'll get to choose a second option. I'll be back in a second. Okay, it's time for Germany to activate a minor. And there are a few good choices out there for Germany. But I think what she's going to do is she's going to activate Sweden. Just to clear out the minus, just to clear out all the ones. There is a -2 Soviet in there, so that will probably move the marker. Let's come over here to the status display. You got 3 ones and Soviet -2, and Sweden is right here. So the ones are not going to do anything. It's not enough. I mean, the -1 German, it takes 3 to get there, and another one, it's more than 1. Alright, so the -2 Soviet, Sweden's here. They do have a treaty with Germany, an alliance with Germany. So the Soviets are off this way, so it's going to drive the marker into this hex. So it's the same distance from Germany, so it can be done. It can do that. So it costs 2 to go there with no modifiers, and that's the end of that. Last thing we're going to do, excuse me, we're going to roll to see if Germany ends the political phase. I can't see that. Can you see that? It's a 2. So nope, Germany does not end the political phase because it would have took a 1. There were no previous political options played. So let's go see what Germany wants to do for her second political option. Germany is going to sign a minor alliance, and she's going to sign that with Romania. This does require a die roll. So basically you need a 0. I think it's what it is. You need more than a 0 to secede. So there's a bunch of modifiers for that. So it's add 1 to the result for each factory resource marker you have in the minor. Germany has the 3 oil, so that's a +3. Add the minor's willpower. Romania's willpower is a 4, so that's a +7. Subtract Germany's initiative position, which is a 1, so that's a +6. The distance in hexes on the status display, oh, I got to check that. Okay, it's 4 hexes, so now we're at +2. The minor is not hostile, and we're not trying to break an alliance. So there's a +2. There's no way it can roll less than, there's no way I can fail this. So it's just, that's, 2 + 2 is 4, that's greater than 0. Germany signs the minor alliance. We're going to apply the treaty chart. It's going to cost her 5 money, and treaty chart has all the U.S. entry and stuff on that, and I'll go do that. And when I come back, Germany will activate a minor and roll to end the political phase, and then we'll move on to the next power if she doesn't end the political phase. Okay, Germany's decided to activate Romania, the country they just signed an alliance with. So I'll grab those markers and we'll go over to the status display. This should be interesting. Oh, come on. Okay, what we got for markers here is we got a -4 Soviet. Yeah, -4. We got a 1 French. We got a 2 Commonwealth. And we got a 7 for the Germans. Okay, so I think they're going to activate. Oh, the 1's not going to do anything, so we'll get rid of that. The 2 for the Commonwealth will activate that next. Now, Romania just signed an alliance with Germany, so to move Romania towards the Commonwealth is going to cost 2 for the hex and 1 for moving further away from an allied major power. So it actually costs 3 to get there. So the 2 is not enough. Then I think we'll do the 4 Soviet. Yeah, we'll do the 4 Soviet. Maine is here, the Soviet Union's over here. So it's going to push the marker in this direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually going to push it 2 hexes. It doesn't actually get further away from Germany. Yeah, so it doesn't. So it actually can move 2 hexes. That's a total of 4 points. Now we have 7 German that we're going to use. Okay, so the first hex is going to cost 2. This hex costs 2, and then 1 to cross the boundary. That's a total of 3. So that's 5 that's been used so far. The next hex is going to cost 2, plus 1 to cross the boundary. However, since we're moving towards Germany within their own ideology, there's a -1 to the modifier. So the hex is actually only going to cost 2. So the marker will move right there, and that uses all 7 points. So Germany is very, very happy with that. Nobody else is, but the Germans are. Okay, now we're going to roll a die and see if Germany ends the political phase and really makes the U.S. unhappy. I rolled a 10. So we will move down to the U.S. Let's go see what they're going to do. The U.S. are going to take this opportunity. It doesn't come too often in these games because on the first turn, all the Democrat major powers who could gear up, geared up. The Chinese were already 1 production level ahead of the U.S. So that puts the other 4 democracies ahead of the U.S. as far as production multiple, which means the U.S. meets C. All the other Democratic major powers' production multiple level is above yours. So they actually qualify to gear up for this turn. So they're going to do it. Even though it's going to cost them 24 money, it's going to move their production up to, I believe, 9 a turn now. I'll check it, but I'm pretty sure it's 9 from 3. So the extra 12 that they're paying will be made up in 2 turns. So it's actually worth it for them to do it. I mean, they would have paid 12 at the end of this, at the beginning of next year anyways. So we're just going to pop it and go right now. There's a bunch of minor effects. The U.S. entry is a +11. That goes on the U.S. column, which subtracts from everybody else's U.S. entry because I guess the people in the U.S. look like, oh, we're doing something, so we don't need to go to war type thing. I'll do all the minor adjustments here, and I'll come back and have the U.S. activate a minor. Okay, the U.S. has decided that they're going to activate Saudi Arabia. Doesn't directly help the U.S., but it will help the democracies. So I'll grab the markers and we'll head over to the status display. All right. We got a 2 Commonwealth, a 1 Soviet, a 1 Italian, and a 1 American. Well, unfortunately, the 1 American's not enough to do anything else. Neither are the other 2 ones, so we'll just get rid of those. Now we have 2 for the Commonwealth, and the marker is right here, of course. So that will indeed move it 1 closer to the Commonwealth, right there. And the U.S. is okay with that. The U.S. is definitely okay with that. Alright, so last thing we do is we roll to see if the U.S. ends the political phase. There have been 2 previous political options played, so there's going to be a -2 to the die. And 2 minus 2 is 0, which is less than 1. The political phase ends. The Japanese don't get a chance to do a political option, but they will get bonus bid points for next turn. I will be back in a second after I record that. We'll take a look at reinforcements, roll initiative, and then the weather. Okay, March, April reinforcements. Let's see what we're getting. Well, we're getting a Chinese infantry army. That's more definitely needed. We got a Japanese pilot. We get a Commonwealth pilot. Ooh, a German infantry headquarters. Ooh, that's von Bock. The Germans planning something early? Who knows? we got an Italian cruiser. And we got, I think we got a bunch. Okay, we got a British cruiser going in the construction pool. Oh, we have a Soviet cruiser, the Petropavlovsk, going in the construction pool. This is the Soviets building ships. And we got a Soviet convoy point. Those will be needed later in the war. We have a American convoy point, and we have a Japanese convoy point. We also have a Japanese combat air group. Not a bad one. Let's say D3A2. It was not too bad. And an American combat air group. Ugh, TBD. That's really garbage. We also have the Lexington coming on the map. More adjustments for the London Naval Treaty. Oh, the Bismarck. The Bismarck showed up. And the Roma showed up. So we got a bunch of ships coming on the map. And some pilots. Now I'll get these put down. And then let's go roll initiative right now. See how that's going to pan out. And let's see. Red is the communists, blue is the democracies, and white are the fascists. Alright, well, we got 3 sevens. Okay, well, when we do 3 sevens, well, when you do that, we have to go down to this chart, down here, and we see that the fascists won. I had to go over and grab the weather chart. March, April. We have a +3 to the weather die. Now, it doesn't look, got like a third of a chance of having bad weather. It's really not great weather all the way around, and I don't think anything's really going to affect it over there. So I think the fascists would like to go last. The Japanese don't really see anything that they can do on this turn anyways. I mean, it's not going to matter too much. Maybe the Chinese shift a unit here or there. It won't matter too much. So the fascists are going to go last. Now, I think the democracies, oh, let's see, it doesn't matter. I think between these two, I think the communists will go first and the democracies will go second, in case anything has to be shifted around over there on the Chinese mainland. All right, let's roll weather. This is an important roll. If the weather's clear, things could be bad for the Chinese. And that, folks, is a 9. Modified to 12, because it was a +3 from last turn. 12 is fair weather everywhere. The impulse marker moves up 1. No modifier to the weather roll for next turn. So we're going to have a fair weather turn. So I think it's going to be kind of busy over there. So I'm going to get all the reinforcements on the mark, adjust the London Naval Treaty levels, and we'll come back with the communist impulse. Probably in China. They got some stuff to move in Persia too, so we'll probably come back in China. Okay, for the communists rather, the Soviets continuing their evacuation of Persia, they only moved 4 units. Okay, 4 units in total, so that allowed the communists to move this 4-3 from this hex to this hex. Strengthen their line. They moved on to the democracy's turns. The Commonwealth are sending a carrier back to the home islands. to get a combat air group put on it. And over here, basically the Chinese shifted around some units in here, trying to strengthen each hex. And they got this unit here. They pulled that out of the line to use that as kind of like a reserve. Down here, they put their reinforcement here in Shanghai. So that's pretty tough right now. But that's going to be it for the democracies. I'll come back in a second and we'll start the fascist turn. To start the fascist turn, we're going to go down to the phase for, by the way, the Japanese did embark and debark a land unit when the time comes. We're going to go down to ground strikes. We have a ground strike right here. I hate that when that happens. Alright, so we got a ground strike coming in. This plane right here. It's a 1. Yeah, it's great. So the Chinese will intercept it, and then the Japanese will counter-intercept the interceptor. So we will have an air battle on the +1, -1. Okay, so let's see. Actually, it doesn't really matter, but I think the Chinese roll first. Oh, there it is. Okay, the Chinese roll first. We're on the -1. Let's see what we get on the -1. They got a 4, which is generally pretty good. That's DX. Defender destroys own front fighter or bomber. Ooh, that's bad for the Japanese. Let's see, how much does this cost? Yeah, it's more. We're going to destroy the fighter. Well, the fighter is destroyed. However, he does get to roll back. A 9. That's not bad on the +1. 9 is a dash, which is nothing. Do we risk that? Do we risk that bomber? Chinese will be rolling on the +2. At least the pilot didn't get killed. I think we're just going to abort our bomber. There's no sense in getting that killed as well. And he's got to go land somewhere. And I think he's going to land. He's got a range of 4. He's going to land back here. I don't want him getting overrun. Okay, so the attack is going to be it's going to be a 32 to 8, which is a 4 to 1. I don't have any armor, so I can't use Blitzkrieg, the Blitz table. So we're going to have to roll on the assault table. And we're going to use HQ benefits. So it's going to be 4 to 1 +1. Let's roll a die, see what happens. Well, that's about the best roll you can get. That's a 10, which becomes an 11, which is star to S. So both of these Chinese units are destroyed, including Chang, which is a pretty big blow for the Chinese. The only unit that's going to be flipped over is this one, the Japanese. And they can advance into the hex, and they most certainly will. And that's going to do that. And they're still very happy. Even though they lost a fighter, they're still kind of happy with that result. So that's, I think that's going to be all, and then the bark and all that stuff. I think that's going to be it for the fascists. The Germans, I don't think they're doing anything. Neither are the Italians. They might shuffle a unit, but that's about it. We can do that off camera. Okay, we'll move back to the communist impulse. I'll roll weather. Let's roll weather right now. See what we get for weather. Either the turn will keep going really great, or it'll just be shut down for garbage weather. Let's see what we get. There's no modifier to the sky. Oh yeah, that's bound to happen. 4. So 4 on the March-April chart is snow in the Arctic, storm in North Temperate, rain in the Mediterranean, fair in North Monsoon, storm in South Monsoon, and rain in South Temperate. The impulse marker will move up 3, and there's no modifier to next turn's weather roll. So I'll get that recorded. I don't think much is going to happen this turn, but I'll come back if anything amazing does. And I'll probably come back with the next weather roll. That attack that the Japanese succeeded at caused some problems with the Chinese. There was a discussion whether or not the communists were going to cover this hex, but the end result was that the nationalists ended up retreating from Sinyan back to this hex. Because if they'd have stayed there, the Japanese would have a 4 hex attack on them, and a 3 hex attack on, or a 3 hex attack on Mao, without the 4-3 here, because this would have had to move down here. And neither of those options were really good, and it's storm in the North Temperate, which means that all these units had to flip over when they moved. But that's what happens sometimes. So now we'll come to the fascist impulse, and I don't think the fascists are even going to move. I think they're just going to stay right where they are for this turn. And we'll roll weather and see what the weather roll is. Move back to the communists and roll weather. There's no modifier to the weather roll. Let's see what we get. Oh, a 7. 7 is rain in the Arctic, rain in North Temperate, fair Mediterranean, fair North Monsoon, rain South Monsoon, and fair Temperate. The impulse marker will move up 2. I'll go record that and be back in a second. Okay, we're back to roll for weather again. Let's see what we get for a die roll here. Okay, I'm just going to run through the rest of the turn, because that is blizzard, blizzard, snow, rain, storm, storm. Impulse marker moves up 3. There's a +2 to the next weather roll. We're already on impulse number 19, so I don't think the turn's going to last much longer. Anyway, the weather's such crap that nobody's really going to move anything. So I'm just going to run through the rest of the turn, and you'll probably see me back at production. The turn ended up going to the last impulse box, which is number 28. That was the communist impulse who ended the turn. I mean, it was just kept going and going and going. The weather roll for the last set of weather was another 1, which is the same weather as the previous turn, which would have been a +3 to the weather. It's not quite the same weather. I didn't really look at it. Yeah, the blizzards turn to snow, and the snow turns to rain, and that's about it. That was the only change in the weather. There was some moving around, a little bit of moving around that the fascist last impulse they did, because why not? You know, it's the crappy weather. You might as well move them and flip them anyways. The turn's almost over. The Soviets completed their evacuation of Persia. A lot of those units actually went out to the Far East. I don't know why, but never can tell with Joe. There was no partisans. The partisan roll was one partisan for French Indochina, but I rolled the die and it was they had a significant enough garrison, so there wasn't no partisan. I think it was a very high roll. Then I went right to production, and so let's go over production. So the Germans are now producing 12. Yeah, they're now producing 12 and saving in oil. I think. Let me check that real quick. Yes, that's correct. 12 and saving in oil. So they started with 7 for the production phase, and they spent 7. 3 subs, 2 subs and a light cruiser. The Lutzow, laying them down. Built a combat air group, a fighter, a tactical bomber. I think that's a Stuka actually. And that was their 7. Japan produced 8, started with 8 and spent 7. They're building the Peking Warlord, 2 convoy points, a 1-point CAG, and a transport for 2. The Italians produced 4, saved in oil, and started with 0 and spent nothing. The Soviets, they're producing 7. They started with 6 and spent 6. They are building a convoy point. They pulled that cruiser out of the construction pool and an infantry army. The Commonwealth is now producing 11. They started with 11 and they spent 11. All these 3 ships here, they all pulled those out of the construction pool. This is the Queen's Transport. It's a very nice ship, so that they pulled out of the cups. The 2 pilots, a convoy point, and a territorial, which I think is going in India. France produced 5, saved in oil. If they don't save in oil, they end up producing 6. I think their plan is to get a stockpile of 6 oil, and then they're just going to go all production. Anyway, they spent 5. They pulled out a HQ out of the cups. Pritalat, whatever his name is. The USA produced 10, so their production went from 3 to 10. But they're starting at -15, so they're not building anything. China produced 3. They got 2 cadres, which gave them 5, and they spent 5. They are rebuilding Chang. So I will get these on the production circle, and I'll check the length of this. I think we're just going to roll right in. I'll check the length of this and see how long it is. Next turn is liable to be lengthy. Well, maybe not. There's kind of crappy weather at the top of the weather chart. We'll see. I'll check the length of this, and if it's not too long, I'll roll right into May, June. If not, I'll upload this, and I'll see you next time.